Let's go upstairs to see two very different types of sleeping arrangements for travelers to rent. These stairs are not regular in height or width, so please hold on to the railing and take your time. We'll go into the room on the right first. This was a ballroom space that went past that western wall to include this entire side of the house in Wyman's time. Second floor ballrooms were common in area taverns of this era. The wall was put up later by Reverend Barstow. There was a dance master in Keene in 1799, and this would be a great opportunity for friends to meet and talk besides dance. It could also be a dormitory-type sleeping space at night with pallets on the floor or a more expensive rope bed like we have set up. This is stuffed with styrofoam peanuts instead of the usual hay, so we don't have bug issues. When Isaac Wyman died in 1792, he owned 6 feather beds and bedding. The walls in this room have been left as the Society found them in 1968 when we took ownership of the tavern. Lots of wood putty on old nail holes. A small fireplace for warmth and another closet next to it, which would be a good place to keep bedding during the day. This space could also have been used for a meeting space. Lots of light from the large windows. Our other Wyman family piece is in this room, over there in the corner out of harm's way. It is a black painted ladder-back chair given to the Society by a descendant of Isaac Wyman Jr.'s son, William. It was apparently used in the tavern in the late 1700s and just needed a new rush seat. Now let's go over to the other room, which is a more private and probably more expensive room to rent. Neither of these had access to the back of the house until Isaac Wyman's death in 1792. At that time, the house was divided among his family living here, and doors were created to use the back hall. Now this room looks more like a bedroom than the other room. Notice the lovely rose-colored walls. There is a patch here behind this door with the original paint color put on the plaster and left as evidence that all walls were not white. We have this room set up as a bedroom/parlor space, so the school children understand bedrooms in the 18th century. The bureau, tea table, and chairs are from a later period and from our collection. The lusterware pink tea set is from the 1780s and from a Keene resident. So Keene residents had access to fine wares, not just redware and pewter objects. Look at this later door, which was cut into this panel, which is now smaller and doesn't match the rest. This architectural clue tells us this was a private room during the tavern days. Entry was only from the front stairs through that hall door. Isaac Wyman's widow, Sarah Wells Wyman, was given the use of this room and the northeast parlor room on the first floor after he died, the two nicest and most expensive rooms in the tavern. Another unusual feature on the fireplace wall is behind these doors. Who had a china cabinet in their bedroom? We have displayed collection items on these lollipop shelves to see how they could store tea wares if someone wanted to have a quiet tea time. Perhaps women traveling through Keene, or someone was elderly or ill and just needed tea and a nap. This was also a place for Mrs. Wyman to show off her imported ceramics. They had a set of teacups and saucers. There are shelves below, and the other side of the chimney had the same setup. The shelves have been placed in the attic, only the top one is original. See how it was nailed in place from the back of the wall. The other two are reproductions. This bed and upholstered armchair were used by the next family to live in the tavern for the longest time, Reverend Zedekiah Barstow. His family wanted these objects returned to his home of over 50 years here in Keene. The knitted bedspread was made by his wife, Elizabeth Blake Barstow, and also was a family piece. They married in 1818. The last Wyman to live here was the youngest son, William Wyman, born in February of 1775. He would eventually go off to become a wealthy sea captain based in New Orleans, while it was still a French territory. New documents reveal he might have participated in the slave trade in Cuba and the West Indies, retiring in 1804 back home in Keene. He married, had 2 daughters, and settled into the tavern, buying out his siblings' shares. His mother lived with his family until her death in 1807. William had a store on Main Street and was beginning to build a grand brick mansion, Elliott Hall at Keene State College, for his family when he died in 1811. Legend has it that he looked out a tavern window as his brick house was almost done, but never lived there. His estate was deep in debt, and the tavern and about 80 acres of Wyman land was sold to pay off this debt. We don't usually take tours behind these two front rooms. The back is mostly for storage and not included in the heat-cool pump system. This northwest corner room was given to a young William Wyman when his father died, but there's no fireplace here. The Wyman children might have slept up here before the space was divided up. We can't bring tours up here since there is only one way out. Plus, it is hot, dusty, and filled with spiderwebs, just what an old attic should be. Look up at the bark still remaining on some of the original beams. There is plenty of space for storage of household items, trunks, and seeds, etc. Now we are back in the ballroom and have finished the tour of the Wyman Tavern. Let's go back through the kitchen to exit the house.